because we know how many people are coming through. The numbers that are being reported, I think it's close to 9 million now, just over the course of...
American politician and decorated combat veteran Tulsi Gabbard has long captured the public's imagination with her groundbreaking accomplishments and unrelenting commitment. She recently made headlines again when she revealed why she and Eduardo divorced. Tulsi's narrative is a moving example of the difficult balancing act between work and family obligations, sparking a national dialogue about the enormous difficulties experienced by military families. Come along as we examine Tulsi Gabbard's life story from her military service to her prominent positions in politics, as well as the sacrifices she made along the way. Tulsi Gabbard discloses the cause of her divorce. Tulsi Gabbard revealed in an open letter that the demands of her military service were the leading cause of her divorce. She balanced her roles as a dedicated wife and a devoted military member for many years, but the ongoing stress got to be too much. It became tough for her to maintain a strong marriage because of her roles, responsibilities, and deployments. This declaration draws attention to the personal sacrifices made by individuals serving that are frequently overlooked and can significantly affect their families. Many people may relate to Tulsi's openness in discussing this aspect of her life, highlighting military couples' challenges. Iraq deployment strained marriage. Her deployment to Iraq mainly caused the difficulties in Tulsi Gabbard's marriage to Eduardo. Far from the comforts of home, she faced the harsh reality of military life while serving in a war-torn country. Her marriage was under unprecedented strain due to the distance and stress of being in a battle zone. Despite their physical and emotional distance, Tulsi and Eduardo struggled to stay in touch through letters and sporadic conversations. This period of her life highlights the significant effect military deployments can have on marriages, frequently putting them to the test in harsh circumstances. Challenges arose from long-distance relationships during deployment to combat zones. Managing a long-distance relationship is tough, but the challenge multiplies when one spouse is sent to a conflict zone. These difficulties are best illustrated by Tulsi Gabbard's experience, as her devotion to duty frequently required her to be hundreds of miles away from Eduardo. Their separation was exacerbated by time zones and restricted communication possibilities in Iraq, making it difficult for their relationship to remain somewhat normal. Both spouses experienced severe emotional damage as a result of their ongoing concerns about their safety and absence, which made the distance between them more challenging to cross. Military service led to divorce. Thinking back on the breakup of her marriage, Tulsi candidly stated that her time in the military was a significant factor. Her personal life was slowly undermined by the constant demands of her service responsibilities, which made it harder for her marriage to stay strong. Due to her demanding schedule and erratic military duties, she was frequently absent when Eduardo most needed her. This acknowledgement highlights the sacrifices made by families and those in uniform, emphasizing the more significant problem many military families face. It is evidence of the commitment to serving one's country and the financial sacrifices involved. Balancing loyalty to country and marriage. Tulsi Gabbard's life was a never-ending balancing act between her commitment to her spouse and her allegiance to her nation. She was steadfast in her devotion to serving her country, but struggled to carry out her marital responsibilities. This internal conflict illustrates a typical predicament military personnel encounter. Their loyalty to their country may clash with their connections. Tulsi's story highlights the difficult decisions that military personnel frequently have to make and the emotional fallout. It serves as a reminder of the careful balancing act needed to fulfill personal and professional obligations. War's effects on military families and spouses. Beyond those wearing uniforms, the effects of war have a profound impact on the lives of military spouses and families. This dynamic is demonstrated by Tulsi Gabbard's story, which emphasizes the profound emotional and psychological repercussions those left behind feel. Families frequently struggle with handling home duties alone, endure protracted separations, and live in continual fear for their safety. Deployments without a spouse can cause emotional distress and a sense of loneliness, frequently with long-term effects. Tulsi's story highlights the need for increased understanding and assistance for military families, acknowledging their tenacity and sacrifices. Gabbard's Army to Politics success. Despite her struggles, Tulsi Gabbard transitioned from the Army National Guard to American politics. She entered politics with a distinct viewpoint and an unshakable sense of duty derived from her military experience. Making effective use of her military background and leadership abilities, she started a career in public service. She gained the support of many constituents who valued her commitment and hard work. Her transition from a military officer to a prominent national figure demonstrates her capacity to apply military discipline and ideals to successful public advocacy and governance. Gabby stepped down and lost primary. To fulfill her military duties in Iraq, Tulsi Gabbard took the tough choice in 2004 to resign from her political position. Her exit created a vacuum in her political career, resulting in a different candidate winning the primary in her place. Tulsi's decision to put her service before her political ambitions demonstrates her commitment to duty. But rather than signaling the end of her political career, this choice paved the way for her subsequent reappearance in the political sphere, which was characterized by her willingness to take up the causes close to her heart. Successful Honolulu City Council run. Resuming her political career with a fresh sense of purpose, Tulsi Gabbard ran a community-focused campaign for a Honolulu City Council seat. Her triumph in the election demonstrated her capacity to engage with voters on neighborhood issues, such as regulating food truck sellers and using public space. Tulsi's support of small enterprises was evidence of her dedication to fostering an atmosphere that encouraged economic expansion and entrepreneurship. Her position on the City Council demonstrates her commitment to inclusive and pragmatic administration, providing her with a platform to effect change at the local level. The political accomplishments and disputes of Tulsi Gabbard. Throughout her political career, Tulsi Gabbard has been involved in significant scandals and notable successes. She is a trailblazer who has significantly raised awareness of national security and veteran concerns. However, some of her positions, like her meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, have drawn criticism and discussion. She is one of the most divisive figures in American politics due to her propensity to discuss controversial topics and transcend party boundaries. Tulsi's political career is propelled by her unwavering persistence and dedication to her principles, even in the face of controversy, as she carves out a place for herself in the national conversation. First Hindu member of Congress. Tulsi Gabbard created history in 2012 when she was elected to the U.S. Congress and became the first person of Samoan and Hindu descent to hold a position of voting authority. Her election was historic because it gave previously underrepresented communities representation and demonstrated the growing diversity of American politics. Tulsi's commitment to tackling issues impacting a wide range of Americans was strengthened by her participation in Congress, which allowed her to provide distinct viewpoints shaped by her military service and cultural heritage. As a symbol of growth and change, she resonated with voters, marking a considerable advancement in the political inclusion of minority populations. Her triumph was critical. Veteran legislation and debate criticism. During her time in Congress, Tulsi Gabbard actively advocated for important causes and authored legislation that had a significant impact. Her proposal to improve airport security and accommodations for wounded veterans and honor and respect those who served was one crucial legislative endeavor. Furthermore, Tulsi was vocal in her criticism of the Democratic National Committee's sparse scheduling of presidential debates in 2016, contending that it limited the scope of democratic discourse and the visibility of candidates. Her support of openness and veteran welfare highlights her devotion to upholding justice and fairness, strengthening her resolve to ethical leadership and governance. Focus on justice and drug policy. Tulsi Gabbard has a wide range of policy interests, but has steadfastly supported drug and criminal justice reform. She continuously advocates for reforms that prioritize rehabilitation over incarceration and draws attention to the structural problems afflicting these communities. Tulsi is in favor of laws that decriminalize marijuana and address the racial inequities that exist in the legal system. By concentrating on these problems, she hopes to build a more just society where everyone can access chances for rehabilitation and integration, and justice is administered equitably. Her strategy emphasizes the necessity of finding workable answers to persistent social problems. Secured delegates as a woman of color. Tulsi Gabbard accomplished a noteworthy accomplishment in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary by winning 2 delegates in American Samoa. She became the second woman of color to win delegates in a Democratic primary, demonstrating her impact and reach across various communities. Tulsi's ability to relate to American Samoan voters highlights how well she represents a wide range of demographics by appealing to them with her history and policy priorities. This accomplishment enhanced her reputation in American politics and served as an example for others, showing the potential influence of minority candidates on a national level. Marijuana legalization and justice reform. Tulsi Gabbard is an outspoken advocate for legalizing marijuana and overhauling the criminal justice system, as well as for the lifting of the federal ban on the drug. Her position shows that she is dedicated to tackling the adverse effects of the drug war, which have disproportionately harmed communities of color. Tulsi favors policies that emphasize treatment and education in place of punitive measures to address drug-related problems in a way that is both more humane and reasonable. Her work aims to overturn antiquated laws and advance a judicial system that gives rehabilitation and reintegration into society priority for those impacted by drug laws. Support for immigration and Native rights. Strong support for immigration reform, Native American rights, and renewable energy measures are all part of Tulsi Gabbard's policy agenda. Her immigration policy focuses on establishing a just and compassionate system, providing citizenship pathways, and streamlining the visa application process. Tulsi's support of Native American sovereignty and cultural preservation indicates her dedication to Native American rights. In addition, she supports the switch to renewable energy sources as a means of halting global warming and advancing environmental sustainability. These policy priorities exemplify Tulsi's integrated approach to governance, which aims to solve pressing problems while promoting sustainability and inclusivity for coming generations. Advocates for citizenship and work visas. Tulsi Gabbard advocates for measures that give undocumented immigrants more access to citizenship. Her immigration policy is grounded in compassion and common sense. To help the economy grow and address labor shortages, she favors increasing the number of work visa choices and encouraging skilled immigration. Tulsi's strategy is to strike a balance between security and inclusivity to design an immigration system that represents the principles of America as a country founded by immigrants. Her policies promote comprehensive changes that recognize the contributions of immigrants to the country's prosperity, emphasizing the benefits of immigration in enhancing society and bolstering the labor force. Support for Native rights and energy reform. One of Tulsi Gabbard's many policy agenda items is her steadfast support of Native American rights, which includes promoting their welfare and autonomy. She is committed to managing nuclear waste sites properly and preventing any harm to the environment and nearby populations. Tulsi strongly supports renewable energy sources and the move away from fossil fuels in the fight against climate change. Her support for successful counterterrorism policies safeguarding civilians while upholding their civil liberties indicates her dedication to maintaining national security. Tulsi's wide range of policy interests show her comprehensive outlook for a safe, sustainable, and just future. The early years and political influences of Tulsi Gabbard. Her distinct childhood and early influences have impacted Tulsi Gabbard's political journey and ideas. She developed a strong awareness of variety due to her upbringing in Hawaii, where she was exposed to diverse cultures and ideas. Her family's strong sense of civic duty was instilled in her at a young age by their active participation in politics and community work. Her approach to governance is shaped by these inspirations and her military experiences with a focus on service, diversity, and moral leadership. Tulsi's path from her early years to the political arena reflects her dedication to public service and the principles instilled in her at a young age. Support for ICC and UN in Syria. Tulsi Gabbard has supported the International Criminal Court and its function in advancing justice and accountability worldwide. She supports diplomatic approaches to conflict resolution and UN initiatives in places like Syria. She promotes international endeavors. Tulsi urges concerted efforts to advance peace and security because multilateral collaboration may effectively handle global concerns. Her position demonstrates her dedication to humanitarian ideals and international law, demonstrating her faith in a cooperative strategy to promote human rights and international security. Controversial stance on marriage laws. In line with her father's social conservatism, Tulsi Gabbard backed measures earlier in her career that advocated limiting marriage to heterosexual couples. Those who support marriage equality and the LGBTQ+ community, in particular, criticized this stance. Tulsi, meanwhile, publicly acknowledged her previous opinions and reaffirmed her commitment to marriage equality and LGBTQ+ rights as she changed her mind over time. Her development demonstrates her capacity to change and broaden her viewpoints to bring her policies into compliance with inclusivity and equality ideals. Her desire to interact with and absorb knowledge from a variety of perspectives is evident in her voyage. Gabbard's unique upbringing. Tulsi Gabbard's extraordinarily varied childhood helped shape her distinct perspective on politics and life. She was exposed to a blend of Samoan and European heritage while growing up in a cosmopolitan home in Hawaii, where she also embraced Hinduism and its spiritual teachings. Her worldview and political ethos were shaped by these early experiences, which gave her a profound awareness of spiritual values and cultural diversity. Tulsi's early commitment to social concerns was encouraged by her upbringing and her family's community service activities, which gave her access to a wide range of philosophical and cultural inspirations for her public service projects. Raised with Samoan roots and Hinduism. Tulsi Gabbard was raised in Hawaii in a home rich in cultural traditions that combined the teachings of Hinduism with her Samoan and European ancestry. This eclectic mix of spiritual and cultural influences has formed her identity and philosophy of life. Tulsi sincerely appreciated diversity and inclusivity by adopting the Hindu ideals of dharma, duty, and ahimsa, nonviolence, which have shaped her political and personal experiences. Her upbringing gave her a viewpoint that recognizes the interconnection of the world, which influenced her stance on diplomacy and her dedication to multicultural engagement and policymaking. Martial arts, politics, and education. While pursuing her degree, Tulsi Gabbard actively participated in several organizations and political action groups, demonstrating an impressive balance and devotion. Her commitment to martial arts, which fostered perseverance and discipline, balanced her group involvement. Tulsi's capacity to balance her political endeavors with personal growth helped her become a more skilled leader and equipped her for a demanding but rewarding career in public service. Tulsi's dedication to lifelong study and community involvement, essential to her eventual political success, is highlighted by her active participation in advocacy and self-improvement. Second marriage's personal and political impact. After her second marriage to Abraham Williams in 2015, Tulsi Gabbard's personal and political lives took on new dimensions. Their marriage was a supporting relationship that impacted her political ambitions and symbolized a union of shared passions and cultural roots. Abraham's vigorous participation in her campaigns forged a cooperative force that enhanced Tulsi's political career by bringing mutual understanding and personal insights. This collaboration has been essential to Tulsi's ability to handle the pressures of public life. It has given her emotional support and a common goal that has strengthened her determination and advanced her political career. Cultural roots reflected on wedding. Tulsi Gabbard and Abraham Williams bonded via a love of culture and similar ideals, which resulted in a unique wedding ceremony that reflected their respective spiritual and personal ideologies. Their marriage highlighted their dedication to one another and their cultural heritage, and it was celebrated in a traditional Vedic ceremony in Hawaii. Their wedding's distinctive fusion of faith and tradition represented their common path and the strong bonds that unite them. Tulsi's capacity to balance her personal and professional goals was further validated by her marriage, which also strengthened her support network and allowed her to pursue joint ventures. Collaboration between marriage and politics. A smooth transition between personal and professional endeavors has mainly been made possible by Abraham Williams' involvement in Tulsi Gabbard's political efforts. His abilities as a cameraman have been crucial in shaping Tulsi's public persona and message, enabling voters to connect with her sincerity. Together, they have strengthened their relationship, which is indicative of a creative and purposeful fusion supporting Tulsi's political activities. Their intense collaboration shows how important it is to have a supportive spouse while negotiating the complexities of public service, and it has proven helpful in Tulsi's changing political environment. Shift to conservative media contributor. After Tulsi Gabbard started contributing to conservative media, her political trajectory changed significantly, departing from her Democratic background. Her increasing frustration with what she perceived as intellectual rigidity and partisan divisiveness inside the Democratic Party led to her move. Tulsi discussed controversial topics with conservative audiences to heal divisions and establish common ground. Her entry into the conservative media indicates a more inclusive political discourse in which ideas are valued more highly than party identification, undermining established partisan divides and highlighting her dedication to creating cohesive narratives. Criticism of Democrats led to departure. Tulsi Gabbard's critique of what she saw as overly wokeness and the emergence of anti-white prejudice inside the party served as the impetus for her 2022 resignation from the Democratic Party. Disenchanted with these components, she sought to disassociate herself from divisive discourse and stand in line with her goals of equity and inclusivity. Her critiques brought attention to internal conflicts within the party and generated essential conversations about its future. Tulsi's resignation demonstrated her dedication to personal beliefs over party affiliation, despite the ensuing division, and she advocated for a more balanced conversation that cuts across racial and ideological lines. Polarizing media figure and VP speculation. Due to her political activities and media appearances, Tulsi Gabbard has become a divisive figure in American politics. Her openness to interact with conservative audiences and media indicates her growing interest in having cross-party conversations about important subjects. Her reach has increased due to this participation. It has also sparked conjecture about her place in future political arenas, including talks about her possible candidacy for vice president in Trump's 2024 campaign. This conjecture encapsulates Tulsi's impact as a nonconformist political personality, questioning established party structures while negotiating a convoluted national agenda.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon